What's going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of AJ Porter Golf. This week we had my friend Newport on. Newport just won the Thailand Tour Order of Merit. That means this year he will be playing on the Asian Tour. So we sat down with him to recap his season a little bit and talk about the upcoming season. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I've known Newport for a number of years, so it was good to sit down with him as he's kind of finally starting to break through and figure out what's the difference. All right, Newport, what is going on, my man? How are you
Hey,
doing?
what's up, AJ?
I know it's good to talk. I know we've kind of chatted over the last few years, but I'm just gonna really enjoy, like we were just doing before, just catching up and kind of going through your season, which has been, in my opinion, a great success.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So this is the, I want to say 14th video in a set of videos where our goal is to establish, a question that I've been asking guys on mini tours or high-level amateurs for years, right? What's the difference? So this is for those golfers out there that want to elevate their game to that next level, whether they want to play Division One golf, a scratch that wants to get to a plus, or someone like you or myself that are really trying to elevate from the current level that they are at to the next. I thought that you would be just a great person to talk to about this, since you've spent the last few years playing professional golf here, and now you've had a really successful season winning the Thailand Order of Merit. So maybe talk to me a little bit about your backstory, and then talk to me a little bit about this season, man.
Okay, so actually, I turned pro during COVID. I came back after graduating and started my pro career on the development tour of in Thailand, and slowly worked my way up to the bigger tours, the main tours in Thailand. And now I'm trying to play Asian tour. I got partial status, but I had a really good year towards the end last year. I was in the beginning, I was missing a lot of cuts, like a few cuts in a row, and then figured out a few things which led to a win and then getting second at the Thailand Open.
It's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about maybe what you figured out. Was it mechanical? Was it mental? Was it how you were practicing? So maybe go a little bit into that.
It was a little bit of everything, but I would say mostly mental. The
Really?
mental
Okay.
part like pieced it all together.
Okay. So when you say piece it all together, what was it for you? So one of the big things that Scott Fawcett talks about is he won't, from Decade Golf, he won't work with a player unless they meditate. We have other players on here who talk about just self-belief being a really big thing, or for me this past year it's been a little bit of meditation, but like a lot more of, whether you want to, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it, not visualization, but like just willing something to be.
hmm
So I don't, what was it for you that mentally kind of clicked?
Well, for me, actually, I work with my dad with putting and mental game. And we figured out that I was just thinking way too much about, the swing, mechanics and all that. And um, we just figured out that I need to set my expectations low, but work hard. So I don't expect too much, play freely. And
So how do you,
yes.
yeah, how'd you go about doing that? Like I feel like, that's such a great thing to say, and certainly something that we all kind of strive for. But I
Yeah.
feel like it can be a little bit different to not have expectation when it is your career and it is something that you work so hard for. Like, you know, how did you pull yourself out of that?
Well, after a lot of missed cuts and not making any money, I kind of just went like, I want to enjoy the things that I love, which is playing golf professionally. And to do that, I will work hard, but I won't expect too much because when I expect too much, I get super tense. But I know I can do it.
Yeah,
I believe in myself.
yeah, yeah. I think that self belief is so incredibly important. I think in so many sports, the ability to stay present and the ability to just stay within yourself is
hmm
incredibly important. I think there's a really bad stigma associated with people having self belief. They're like, oh, you're cocky or you're arrogant or whatever else. And it's like, I think Matthew McConaughey had a really good quote when someone said to him, "Oh, Matthew, you're so full of yourself." And he said, "Of course, who else am I going to be full of?" And I think that's really a good quote whenever it comes to sports, right? Like, if I'm gonna try and play for a living like you are, or if I'm in an amateur competition trying to play U.S. amateur, whatever it is, what purpose does it serve me to be going in there and being like, oh yeah, I think that guy's gonna beat me? It's like, why even show up, man?
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta play your own game, you know? You've been practicing so hard, believe in that, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. So, maybe talk to me a little bit about the mini tours over there. I know I've spoken with you a little bit about, kind of what that process looks like, but maybe if someone was an American that wanted to
Hmm.
go over there and play, how difficult would it be? What's the aside from, of course, the obvious language gap, like how tough is it? How expensive is it? What do all those things look like?
Well, for an average tournament in Thailand, like traveling there, the cost, I'd say it's about maybe like 600 to 700 bucks, including the entry fees and everything. And that's per tournament. But you could also, like, if you win, you'd make maybe like 13K.
Wow. So that's like significantly better than over here. So like over here it's about, I mean, 2,500 to 3,000 a tournament. Entry fees are, I mean, I don't know if you played any mini tours at all or not over here, but a lot of the mini tours over here, um, are 1,200 to 1,500 entry fee, and then maybe you'll get, I'd have to look it up, like let's say 30K if you win, but you also have to spend another probably 1,500 in terms of travel and
Yeah,
hotels and food and all that stuff.
yeah. And that actually that's kind of similar to when I travel and play overseas in Asia.
Hmm.
The cost is about maybe like 1,500 to 2,500
Yeah.
if I play in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
so
but the Asian tour events they pay quite well. So now there's a international series which I think the winner makes like 300K. So that's a lot of it's a lot of money, a good incentive for a lot of foreign players to come play.
definitely. So, for you, what will it take for you to get into the international series, or does your status give you that currently?
My status gives me, I think some events I'll get 10 starts on the Asian tour around that, and I'll get to play maybe 4 or 5 international series.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, just getting lucky with all these categories.
Wow, I don't know that I'd call it luck. I mean, I think you've been grinding for what, 4 years now, 5 years in
Four
terms of
years. Yeah,
professional
four
golf.
years.
Yeah, I mean, at what point do you call it just kind of meant to be, not luck? I wouldn't call it luck. So in terms of your week to week preparation, what does that look like for you, and how do you go about figuring out what it is that you want to actually even work on?
Okay, well, I work with my swing coach. He's a pro in Chiang Mai. He actually played a PGA Tour event like a couple years ago. His name's Mo Lim,
Okay.
and we've just been working on kind of like fixing my swing plane a little bit. So he adjusted like keeping my club kind of in front of me, and I was able to cover the ball a little better this year. And also been working with my trainer for the past few years. He's helped me kind of like kept my strength up on the course, and that's helped me kind of like play a lot of tournaments consecutively.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, in terms of, do you do any, how much technical work do you do versus how much like skill acquisition work? So, whenever I say skill acquisition, I'm talking like making shots, performance type situations.
I'd say for me when I practice, it's more so doing drills. Like I'd work on putting drills, I'd work on chipping drills, like just like getting up and down from different spots. And on the range, I'd work on a lot of distance control and just kind of like hitting my stock shots. I don't try to like play too many shots. I try to stick with my stock shot because that's gonna be the most of the shots that I play. And for off the tee, I'll just I'll try to like swing hard sometimes, but most of the time I'll try to play my fade and kind of keep it in the fairway. That's kind of my game. I don't hit it like that far, but most of the time I'll keep it in the fairway.
Yeah. I mean, you're not that short though, are you? You're probably low 70s ball speed, mid 70s.
No, no, I want to be low 70. That's one of my goals, but right now it's like kind of like mid to high 165, like 165 to 168,
So you're probably around what, 114, 115 club speed ish?
112 to 114.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty similar. I'm maybe 2 or 3 miles an hour faster at most,
Oh,
but
that's awesome.
I feel like it's really tough. Speed has been a big question on this show, and I've had a lot of guys that talk about, once you get above 170, that's good enough to kind of play anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I have had other guys say, look at the lowest number on tour, which is like 160, and that's
Hmm.
obviously good enough. You know, kind of curious your take on speed and how important you really think it is. And
Yeah.
if you think it's important, what are you gonna do to potentially get after it?
I think once you get to play like on the bigger stage, speed is key, being but also accuracy as well. But if you're able to carry, 300 yards, you might be able to take out like some bunkers, especially courses in Asia. They're kind of set like the bunkers at like 270, 280. So yeah, speed would be a big advantage. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a lot of strength training with my coach, like working on the legs, arms, mobility. And later on, we're gonna work on some speed training, like some speed sticks.
Yeah. Have you done much speed training? I feel like whenever I've done it historically, like my golf swing just gets so long and I start hitting it freaking everywhere and I like lose my arm structure and like I lose all the things that make my swing good. I don't know if you've had that experience, but I feel like speed training is just so tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I wouldn't want to do it when I'm having so many tournaments. I'd only do it when there's kind of a big gap that I could work on the speed. Because when I work on speed, accuracy obviously doesn't get any better. Yeah. So I won't try to like go all out. I'll do like maybe try to increase like a couple miles an hour. I won't go far.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to circle back real quick to we were speaking about finances, right? So finances I think are a
Yeah.
big part and there's something that has been brought up. I mean, for you, how tough has that been, to stay focused through all of it? I'm sure the finances are a tough part of it. I don't know if you have
Hmm.
sponsors or, what you're doing to kind of finance the experience, but I have to imagine it's turning the corner now, but I have to imagine there had to be periods where it was very tough.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate enough to have my parents help me financially, and now I'm getting a few sponsors like Singa, Golf Asia. They've been helping me financially as well. Yeah, yeah, and I know the cost will be a lot more on the Asian tour since I'm gonna hire a personal caddy. Yeah, like I told you, it's gonna be around like maybe like 15 to 25K for each
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah.
But if I play well, the reward is definitely bigger than the local tour.
How much will you have to pay your caddy?
Um, this is more like the Thai rate, but I'll pay my caddy like the base salary will be like $300, and then I'll pay for the flights, the accommodation, food, everything. And from the paycheck, it'll be 10% for winning the tournament, 7% for a top 10, and then everything else is 5%.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair. That's pretty similar to what I've heard from other people. I think it's cool, man. I'm excited for you to be able to play on the Asian tour this year. Have you played many of the courses where you're going to be playing this year?
Um, I played a few, but I haven't had too much experience on the Asian tour, so I'm excited for
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that you always kind of see on Instagram and social media is the tie spinner. Like, how
Yeah.
much do you have to actually use that shot and do you practice it?
I've tried the tie spinner before, but I feel like when I went to the US, I kind of lost it a little bit. I used to play it a lot as a kid, But going to college in the US, I didn't need to use it too much. But when I got back here, seeing like the Thai players use it, I'm like, whoa, that's like a different level. Like I didn't imagine myself using that in the States, but coming back here, grass is different. They could use the Thai spinners here.
Yeah. It's like such a sick shot. Like
Yeah.
it looks so terrible, but then it's just like just grabs.
Yeah, it just grabs, but I don't think I'm gonna be using that anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I was kind of telling you before, we have sort of a list of things that we feel like are difference makers. We talked about one of them already, which is speed. Talked about another one, which is, mental and getting into that.
Hmm.
The other kind of two big pieces are lag putting, that everyone needs to be an exceptional lag putter. I think
Hmm.
that kind of goes without saying. I'd assume you probably agree with that one. And then timing, playing well at the right time. How important do you think timing is to a successful career? And are there any other pieces that maybe we're missing that you think are difference makers for someone who wants to get to playing, on the level like you are on the Asian tour?
Well, the timing part, it's pretty tough to control that, but you just have to be consistent, I think. Consistent with your routine, your drills that you're doing, working out, nutrition. And I feel like as tournaments go by, you learn from every tournament and you get better. You just can't sway from doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think that's something that, at least for us as golfers, when we have something that maybe isn't working, we just like kind of throw it all out the window
Yeah,
and we're like, all right, I'm
yeah,
gonna restart. All right, I'm gonna
exactly.
restart. And it's kind of like you end up just spinning your wheels and you don't really ever get anywhere, I feel like.
Yeah, I was like that too. Like whenever something wasn't working out, like I couldn't putt. It's like, okay, I'll change the putter. Like that's not really gonna help.
Never.
That's like gonna help in like maybe one round of golf.
Yeah,
But
it's never the putter.
yeah, and it's never the putter. It's always you.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. So, in your opinion and perspective, what are some things that you think kind of hold people back in terms of either getting better or being able to get to the next level?
I think mentally it's about like not being in the present. Like for me, sometimes when I don't play well, I think about either the past shot, like a bad shot, or I think about, oh, I need to make birdie on this hole, this hole, this hole, thinking way ahead and not focusing on what I need to do at the moment, like staying in the present.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, do you do anything away from the golf course or on the golf course to improve that skill?
Well, meditation helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so do
Working
you
on breathing and being in the moment, I think that's helped me a lot.
yeah. Is that like a daily practice for you, I assume?
I try to make it a daily practice because when you do it over time, you can really use it on the course. Like it really calms you down.
Yeah, Scott was telling us about when Will Zalatoris was basically playing in the Masters, like one of the more recent ones where he had like a runner up or whatever. He will basically put an AirPod in and he has like a song that he listens to. And he does like a 4 hour moving meditation, like the whole morning from the time he gets up until like the time the AirPod's coming out of the ear and going in his bag. He's doing a meditation the whole time, which I think that's just incredible to be able to
Yeah.
have like that level of mental control or whatever you
Hmm.
want to call it.
Yes, focus must be amazing.
Yeah, you can say that again. So for you, what have been kind of the biggest differences you've seen in terms of, you know, college golf, the transition? Obviously, you played D1 San Diego State. The transition from that sort of a level to the players on the mini tours in Thailand to now, where you're going to be playing this year. What do you think kind of the biggest difference makers are in terms of skill?
I think like when you play, at a good level in college, whether it be NAIA, NCAA, I think you're able to compete in professional tours across the world. And I don't think there'll be any problems playing like a development tour. It's more so if you're okay with the environment, if you're comfortable, because living abroad is tough, especially for foreign players. Some players get homesick and, that takes away their focus. But skill wise, I think top college guys are always ready to play.
So a lot of like top college guys are probably ready to go ahead and make that transition. Do you feel like you've gotten a lot better physically since college, or do you think just your mind has gotten better since college?
It's both. I don't think I focused too much on working out in college. I just practice a lot. I probably partied too much as well. But coming back, I've been able to focus on the physical and the mental side, and that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, a lot of guys have talked about. So we had Jay Delsing on the show before you, and he played, I want to say like 560 sometimes on the PGA Tour. They talk about being a professional, right? Like knowing how to be a professional, learning how to practice like professionals, train like professionals, and how important that is, and that ends up kind of being a skill or a learning curve in terms of getting to that next level.
Yeah. Like once I've met a lot of professionals who played at a high level, I've realized that what I'm doing, I don't have the discipline. I got to be more disciplined. And that kind of pushed me to find out like what I need to do.
Yeah, that was so. I kind of had a similar wake up maybe 2 weeks ago. So I had Jeff Lavicchio on the show, and he played 10 years of professional hockey, and then now he trains some NFL and NHL players. And when we sat down and talked about like the details of like how to look at sleep, how to look at your protein intake, how to look at your mobility, like I've been doing 2 mobility sessions a day now just because I realized like I was leaving stuff on the table. And it's kind of crazy when you sit down and actually realize the level of discipline. And for me, similar to you, like what I thought I was doing a lot, and then I realized like, man, I'm doing like nothing compared to these guys, and I kind of can start to see why they get the results they do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, if you want to be a professional and play at a high level, all these guys have good discipline. They have their routine, and I feel like they stick to it pretty well.
Yeah, I think just having the daily discipline is really important. Uh, James Nicholas was on the show, and he talked about with junior golfers that wanted to play Division 1, right? Like he broke down the numbers, and it ended up being, say 120 kids can go to like the top whatever 20 schools, whatever it ends up being. He would ask kids like, okay, this is your goal. You want to do this. Do you think that there are 120 kids out there working harder than you? And they'd always say, yeah, for sure. And they're like, well, then why are you wanting to go do that? So it's the same thing with him. He was like, I want to be the number one player in the world. He played on DP World Tour last year, and he's playing on Corn Ferry Tour this year. And he's like, I work in my mind knowing that I don't think anybody out there is working harder than me. And I think there's probably a good sense of pride that comes with that, but I also think that it just kind of shows the mindset that some of these guys have. And, you have as well. So
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that's definitely a key component on being a top professional for sure. And that's kind of what I strive for. I feel like I still have some aspects, a lot of aspects that I need to develop, and I'm gonna work hard this year for sure.
yeah. So we'll backpedal a little bit to, when you went on tour this year. So for you, how difficult was it for you to stay calm and to stay present, and how important obviously was that in the end for you?
Well, leading up to, so there was two tournaments on the All Thailand. Like it was a tournament that I won, and then I came second at Thailand Open, and that kind of pushed me to become the Order of Merit. Moving kind of like into the tournament that I won, I I felt like, I just found a few things with my coach and did a few things with my dad, like on the putting. And I don't know, things just happened on its own. Like I was able to handle that pressure because I didn't put too much pressure on myself. Let's just win, and I didn't even like, sometimes I didn't even realize it went, and I just looked, I was like, whoa, like middle of the cup. And I surprised myself. And I kind of used that momentum, like when it started to play well. I just kind of like let it flow, be in the moment, enjoy the moment. And in the end, it just worked out. I didn't like force it or anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you a real big momentum player or not so much?
Kinda. It depends on the situation. Yeah, it depends on the situation. Like sometimes, yeah, I'll like feel that momentum. I like keep it going. Feel like I'll keep it going. But sometimes I gotta be like, whoa, am I getting too far ahead of myself? Yeah, it all depends. Like sometimes when I'm in the lead, I'm like, okay, I'm making these birdies, and then I'll get ahead of myself. But then some of the mental training I did, like the meditation and stuff, I'll tell myself, okay, I gotta bring it back, stay the present, and that worked out at that tournament. That's kind of what I did.
Are you someone who's a big scoreboard watcher or not so much?
I try not to, but I definitely like peak a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's really tough for anyone to be like, yeah, no, I don't watch the scoreboard at all.
Hmm.
And for me right now it's been trying to make cuts. I mean, we won an amateur event this year, but like, any of the mini tour stuff I play, I'm just trying to make cuts.
Hmm.
And it's so tough not to look at it, especially like the part where I struggle is like I make a couple bogeys and I'm like, all right, how bad is it? And it's just, it's so tough to stay present, but that's certainly going to be a big goal of mine this year is to stop doing that dumb stuff.
Yeah, I know. I do it as well. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm on the cut line, and then I make a bogey, and then I'll be like, okay, what am I at? How many birdies do you have to make the cut?
Yeah, it's just such a unfortunately like score is such an important part of this game, but it's also just not the way forward in terms of actually getting your skill to come out and
Yeah.
to be able to get the most out of the skill that you have.
Like if you're thinking about score, you're gonna be tense and you won't unleash that true potential.
So, as we're kind of wrapping up here, what would you give to people at home in terms of, you know, if they wanted to improve their game, is it the mind, is it short game, is it putting, you know, what do you think would be the highest payoff skill to have? Like if someone could be just an absolute master at one thing and be mediocre at everything else, what do you think is the most important skill?
I gotta say putting because if you can make those crucial putts, like those pressure putts inside of 6 feet, you're gonna be fine. Like and lag putting, I don't think you're gonna blast it further than 6 feet. So if you make those 6 footers, you're gonna make birdies and pars.
Yeah. Yeah, I think man, putting is so important. I started to become a pretty solid putter in the last year, and you can really get away with a lot of stuff if you're a good
Hmm.
putter.
That's right. That's right.
And it's similar too. Like we were talking about the momentum, man. When you make that 8 foot slider that like you've smoked it over to the right, and then now you
Hmm.
missed the green left, and you've just flopped it up, and you've got like this 8 foot slider. You're grinding, you make it. Like the momentum that you have and that you can carry to the next hole, just because you made a good putt, is I know it's only worth one stroke, but it certainly feels like it's worth more sometimes.
Yeah, you feel relieved, but also you gotta focus on the next shot.
Yeah, 100%. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on today and have a chat. And I don't know if you have any closing remarks, or we can probably go ahead and
Well, I just want to
call
say
it
like
quit.
thanks for having me on the show, man. And also for the followers, just follow me on the Asian Tour app on All Thailand, and hopefully I'll see you guys again next time.
100%. We'll be following you. I'll be posting the links and the videos and all that fun stuff. So excited to see you play well this year, man.
All right, thank you, man. Thanks, AJ.
Cool.